Next, we have balance. So how balanced is our photograph? Are the subjects, are the things in our elements in our photograph, how balanced are they? So this could be things like light, this could be things like color, could be the actual objects themselves, could be the positive or negative space, which we've talked about in one of the element videos. So let's take a look at some. Here we've got a well-balanced photo just because of the symmetry, right? What's on the left side of the photo versus what's on the right side of the photo, what's on the top half of the photo versus the bottom half. It's a very well-balanced photo. You could also say that the colors are well-balanced as well, right? You have the colors of the buildings on each side, and then you have the matching color of the sky versus its reflection in the water. So we have the physical balance of the actual objects in the image. You have the symmetry, right? The leading lines all going towards the center of the photograph, and you have some color balance as well. Here's a good example of color balance where it's not necessarily the same colors, right? You have a lot of greens in here, but you have a lot of these yellow flowers that break up the green. If this wasn't a flower field and it was just grass, our brains would probably think that there's way too much green taking up the picture, because this is about half the picture right here. More than half the picture is green. So if we didn't have a lot of this yellow, it wouldn't look as balanced. But of course we also have different colors, especially in the clouds up here, which helps create some more balance from I guess a more physical perspective, from this diagonal half of the image to this diagonal half of the image. And here's an example of some tonal balance, right? It really balances a lot of tone between what's bright in this image and what's dark in this image, right? So how much of this image is bright? It's more than half, right? We got a lot of the ocean here. We got a lot of the sky, which is bright, and the rock. But we have quite a bit of darkness, especially on this bottom corner, the shadow here, the clouds and the cliff face. There's a lot of dark in here. So for example, if the clouds weren't dark, if they were all bright, the photo would look a bit unbalanced. It'd be too bright, too much bright stuff. But now we have some dark in there as well to help tonally balance this photo. All right. The last bit of balance I'm going to talk about has to do with color as well. But first, I want you to take a look at this next picture and see how you feel about it. Just look at the color and try and figure out for yourself, like, what's going on with the color here. So this is a picture of me on my motorcycle. This is on Cypress Mountain. So the issue with this image, and I purposely edited it for this example, but it's what we would call, it's a very cool or a very cold image, meaning there's a lot of blues coming out of this image. So if you look at the road, this road has a lot of blue tones to it. The gravel has a lot of blue, and even up here, the mountain in the background has quite a bit of blue to it. And what might be wrestling your brain right now, or what your brain might be wrestling with, is that this picture was actually taken at sunset. And your brain would know that if you didn't already kind of guess by the way the sun are hitting these trees and the tones in these trees. So this does not, all these blues, how cold this image is, does not line up well with that it's sunset. You can also see some blue in my shirt as well. Whenever you have something white in your image and you're doing some photo editing, you should try to make sure that whatever is supposed to be white is actually white. Just as a bit of a tip there before we actually learn about photo editing. Alright, so for the next picture, to show the comparison, this is an image that looks too warm. It definitely looks, I think, more fitting than this image because it does have more of a sunset, more of a golden hour look to it, right? So if we flip between the two, now you can really see the blue come out of the road, the mountain in the top left, you can see a lot of that blue, and even some of the shadows in the trees have some blue to it, right? But now this is still a bit too warm, especially, again, my shirt is still kind of an off-white color now. The trees have a lot of that orangey tone to it, a lot more of it. My headlamp has a lot more of an orange tone to it. I mean, it's a yellow headlamp. It's not a white headlamp, but it's still looking kind of warm, kind of orange. So where did I land? I landed when I was editing this picture around here. So here you can definitely see that it's sunset. My shirt is definitely more of a white that it needs to be. The road, the gravel doesn't have, it does have a bit more blue to it, but it's not as blue as this was. Right? So we got more of a gray concrete road, which is good. The hazy kind of mountain in the background isn't as blue anymore. It definitely has a green tone to it, but the trees kind of in the mid ground there are definitely not as warm as they needed to be.